Okay, and thank you to Netsakh Shlomo for hosting the evening. On Tuesday, we observed the fast of the 10th of Tevet, Asara B'Tevet, Yom HaKadosh HaKlali, a day designated as the yahrzeit for those who were murdered during the Holocaust and whose date of death is not known. This Shabbat, we'll read about the death of Yaakov and the bracha that he gave to his grandsons. So I feel it's appropriate to read about the blessing that my grandfather, Ben Zion Wacholder, gave to my father, Ben Zion, in 1942, just before the Jewish community of Ożarów was liquidated by the Nazis. The passage is from my father's memories that were recently published in Polish and that Łukasz will be speaking about shortly. That Saturday night, my father had a complete change of mind. It was Mother who repeated it to me. He is not to stay with us. He has to take his fate in his own hands, and God will help. To me, my father cited the Talmudic passage from Avodah Zarah, which related the deed of Yehuda, son of Baba, during the Hadrianic persecutions, which included the prohibition against studying the Torah. All those who dared to teach or study Judaism were slain by the Roman authorities. There was an acute danger that the chain of tradition, the Kabbalah, would be severed forever. What did Yehuda ben Baba do? He took 5 young scholars of the tradition and brought them into the mountains, where he placed his hands on them, granting them ordination. "Come to me, my son, I shall put my hands upon you," said my father. This he did, giving me a kiss. Who has the Hebrew? Ezra. That's my son, Ezra.
במוצאי שבת, אבי שינה את דעתו לגמרי. הייתה זאת אמי שהעבירה לי את הבשורה. אין לו להישאר איתנו. עליו לקחת את גורלו בידיו, והשם יעזור. אליי, אבי ציטט את הסוגיה ממסכת עבודה זרה, שסיפר על מעשה יהודה בן בבא בתקופת גזירות אדריאנוס קיסר, שכללו איסור על לימוד תורה. כל מי שהעז ללמד או ללמוד תורה, נהרג על ידי השלטון הרומי. הייתה סכנה ממשית ששרשרת המסורת, הקבלה, תינתק לעולם. מה עשה יהודה בן בבא? לקח 4 חכמי המסורת והביא אותם אל הערים, סמך עליהם את ידיו וכך הסמיכם. בוא אליי בני, אני אסמוך עליך את ידיי, אמר אבי. כך עשה ונתן לי נשיקה.
Okay. After Łukasz found my father's memories online on the website that my niece Shifra maintained, he became interested in my father's life and work after the war as well. So Łukasz will tell us about my father's life in Ożarów, and he asked me to tell you about my father's life. So I'm going to do that. So my father, Ben Zion Wacholder, was born in Ożarów in 1921. There was always dispute about what year, and Łukasz settled it for us, so maybe he'll talk about that. So he studied in several yeshivot in Europe, and including Baranovich. After the war, he lived in France and Colombia in South America. And in 1948, the Yeshiva of Chaim Berlin in Brooklyn brought him to the United States with the help of a relative, Gita Lifshitz. He graduated from Yeshiva University in 1951 with an undergraduate degree in English and received rabbinic ordination from Yeshivat Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan, which is associated with Yeshiva University. In New York, he met my mother and married my mother, Toby Camille, whose family had immigrated from what is now the Ukraine to Germany in the 20s and then to California before World War, when Hitler came to power. After they married, they moved to Texas, where my sister Nina and my brother Sholem were born. They moved to Los Angeles, where my father received a doctorate from the University of California in Los Angeles in 1960 on the work of the Jewish Hellenistic author Nicolaus of Damascus. When Hebrew Union College, the seminary for training Reform rabbis, received a large donation of books, my father left his job as an unsuccessful day school teacher to become the librarian. He couldn't see. My parents never identified as Reform, nor with any stream of Judaism for that matter. My mother once told me that they were wary about him working for the Reform Rabbinical School, but once he started to work there, he found them tolerant of his religious observance, and my brother David was born in Los Angeles. So after he had his doctorate, and they hired him to teach Talmud in the college, and they moved him to the main branch in Cincinnati, Ohio. In 1963, I was born a year later. My father had always had poor vision from macular degeneration, and he struggled to read texts, despite having tried many different types of technology, whether it was glasses, contact lenses, computer magnification. It was never really good enough. When I was around 12, his eyesight worsened to the point that he stopped driving. By this time, he published books on Nicolaus of Damascus and on Eupolemus, an earlier Greek Jewish writer mentioned in the book of Maccabees. Also a book of essays about the Jewish calendar, and a book called Messianism and Mishnah about early halacha. A turning point in his scholarship came in 1977 when Yigal Yadin published the book Megillat HaMikdash about the Temple Scroll, one of the largest original manuscripts of the Dead Sea Scrolls. My father was intrigued by this book, but he wasn't able to read it directly, more than a few words at a time, highly magnified on the page. He needed someone to read him both the scrolls and Yadin's Hebrew commentary. Hebrew Union College sent graduate students to help him 2 or 3 days a week, but they were not Jewish and were not as able to read as fluently as I, thanks to my Jewish day school education. And of course, I was available. So during high school, I regularly spent several hours daily reading the book to him. Well, the text of the scrolls were recorded on cassette by me and the Israeli wife of a rabbinic student, so he could listen to them when a reader wasn't available. His book about the Temple Scroll, The Dawn of Qumran, came out in 1983, and my father entered the small group of scholars dedicated to the study of the Dead Sea Scrolls. At that time, most scrolls had not yet been seen by the public, as Hebrew University had assigned, who had responsibility for them, had assigned exclusivity to its scholars back in the 1950s. Some were published right away, like they were expected to be, but many had not, and the scholars held on to them or passed on the rights to publish them to their students. During this period, my father was able to access facsimiles, images of the individual scrolls. He would contact the Rockefeller Museum, tell the secretary what he was working on, and they would mail him a copy of the relevant image. But this was helpful only up to a point, because they were the raw pictures. They weren't the transcripts, and it was very difficult to see and read. But at least he could check specific things. But at some point, the museum stopped sending him these pages on request. My father was frustrated. In order to figure out when the Temple Scroll was written, he needed to compare it with other Jewish literature that was available from that period. So among those works were Eupolemus, the later books of the Tanakh, like Daniel, the books of Hanoch, Ben Sira, Jubilees, Hayovlim, and a few others. There wasn't that much, and he was very, very familiar with it. The prospect of studying all of the Dead Sea Scrolls was exciting for him and necessary for his scholarship. But after close to 30 years, 80% of the Qumran texts were being deliberately withheld. My father believed in academic cooperation and sharing. He also realized he might never see the unpublished text in his lifetime. In the mid-1980s, he learned that a concordance had been prepared from the schools back in 1953. That meant that there probably was some kind of written transcript of the scrolls, but it has not surfaced yet, as far as I know. While at a conference in Israel in 1988, my father asked John Strugnell, who was the head of the team at the time, for a copy of the concordance. And he agreed. When my father came home, he wrote him a letter, and shortly the concordance came to our house in Cincinnati. The concordance contained all of the words in the scrolls in alphabetical order, with the word that appeared before it, and the word that appeared after it, and the reference. My father's graduate student, Marty Abeg, entered all the information into a computer program and came up with a version of the scrolls. With the help of Herschel Sanks, editor of the Biblical Archaeology Review, my father and Abeg published the first volume in 1991. This attracted international attention and caused an uproar in the scholarly world. To summarize, most of the world was on his side, although many scholars, particularly from Hebrew University, spoke out against him. I remember that I had to call the United States, this random woman, and she asked me if I live on a kibbutz. She was interested that I lived in Israel. She said, "Do you live on a kibbutz?" And I said no, but I decided to tell her about, this was right after this happened, so I told her about that, and she said, "Oh yes, I saw about that on TV, and we're all rooting for him." So it was really big news, and I have a lot of clips on the table there if you want to see from that time. Okay, so eventually the Huntington Library in California published the images of the scrolls that had been sent to them for safekeeping. What happened is, and there were two periods. You mentioned this in the letter that I spoke to Zeev. In the 50s, they sent a few copies of the pictures of the scrolls to different institutions, including Hebrew Union College in Cincinnati. But my father never saw them. They were secret. The agreement was that they weren't allowed to show them to anyone. And Huntington Library, and afterward in the 60s, they sent others to other places, but in Huntington Library in California had one, and they decided to open them up to everyone. And that was really the beginning of the end of the secrecy. Now, of course, they're available online. Okay, so we published one more book of the scrolls in 2007, the New Damascus document. My mother died in 1990, and my father remarried in 1992. Elizabeth Krukowski, after she died in 2004, my father lived at my sister's home, Nina, until his death in 2011. Okay, so my father's work was controversial, and I've heard a number of criticisms of my father. I don't think he's well understood today. He was opinionated, eccentric, and original. And some of his theories were crazy. And some of those crazy theories turned out to be quite plausible. And some of them didn't, of course. And my father would happily admit that he was wrong. His goal was not to create controversy, although he didn't mind if that happened. He hoped to push other scholars to look at the ancient texts in a new light and find the evidence to prove or disprove his theories. I'm grateful to my father for raising me in a home that valued academic integrity. And I also want to say a word about my mother. Because without her, my father would never have been able to devote so much of his time to his scholarship. About a year ago, Łukasz Rzepka contacted me about a year ago. By the time he leaves, I'll pronounce it correctly. About a year ago, in order to get permission from the family to translate my father's memories of October 1942 into Polish. During this period, we've been in close contact, as Łukasz has shared with me what he has learned and about the reaction in Poland to his work. Łukasz and my father come from different religious traditions, but they not only shared the hometown of Ożarów, they shared a love of knowledge and a desire to examine the written record to recreate an accurate picture of the people who lived long ago. So, along with the family, both here and abroad, I'm honored to welcome Łukasz to Petah Tikva and tell us about his work. I'll let him tell you about himself, but I just want to say he runs the boznica project as a volunteer, in addition to a full-time job and his doctoral studies. And I'll close by sharing my sister Nina's reaction when, during a long train ride from New Jersey to our niece's engagement party in Brooklyn, when I showed her all of the Facebook chat that Łukasz and I have had that time, and sometimes we wrote every day. And Łukasz would share with me all of the documents he was finding about my father, and then my sister said, "He's a mensch." That was her. Okay, so please, thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Good evening, shalom, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me thank you all for coming here today. Please forgive me that I don't speak English very well, nor that I pronounce badly, but I will do my best. Let me just start by introducing myself. My name is Łukasz Rzepka, and I'm a doctoral student of theology at the Pontifical University of John Paul II in Krakow. Today I'm going to talk about field of my research, additional research, because my doctoral dissertation deals with correlation of theater and theology, while I conduct Jewish research as an additional field. Today I'm going to talk about my and Ben Zion's hometown, about Ożarów in Poland, with particular emphasis on relation between Jews and Christians there since 1616. In sealed wagons, they're going names. And where will they go? And when they get out? Do not ask. I will not say. I don't know. These words were written by Wisława Szymborska, the Pole, the Nobel Prize winner, over 60 years ago. 76 years ago in Ożarów, the last Jewish names were heard, and most of these people, residents of Main Street in Ożarów, whose names you have just seen on the slide at the end of October 1942, were said for the last time. After almost 350 years of Jewish presence in Ożarów, my city has ceased to be Polin for them, a place where they can rest. Today I would like to introduce you a brief history of my city and, above all, the history of presence of Jews in this small city. Ożarów is a town in Poland, in province of Świętokrzyskie Voivodeship, in Opatów County, historic Lesser Poland, with approximately 5,000 inhabitants. Ożarów received its town charter in 1569 during the Polish Golden Age. The town lies in eastern part of the province, some 15 kilometers west of the Vistula River. Ożarów coat of arms is the Rawa, in Polish Rawicz, which was used by Ożarowski family, the founder. When did the Jews appear in the city for the first time? This cannot be exactly stated. The oldest document about Jews is from the beginning of 17th century. Martin Szepsi Combor, a Hungarian traveler around Europe, wrote in his travel notebook in 1616. Most of the inhabitants are Jewish. We stood there on a Saturday. Everyone was peacefully occupied with religious rites. In the next century, John Philip Carossi, geologist, a miner from origin of Italy, in his diary noted, "There is an overwhelming number of Jews in comparison with Christians. Here too, the observation made so far confirms that Jews have all the urban trade and crafts for themselves, while the poor Christian lives from farming." At the beginning of the 18th century, Judah Aryeh Leib Halevi Epstein Leibush Hagadol, begins of the Hasidic dynasty. 2 years later, a Catholic priest who wrote about the surrounding dioceses confirms trade was in Jewish hands. The Ozarow Hasidic dynasty that began in 1814 when Rabbi Yehuda Leib Epstein, rabbi of Ożarów in Poland since 1811, assumed leadership of his disciples. Rabbi Epstein was a disciple of a Sir of Lublin, Yaakov Yitzhak Horowitz of Lublin, the Holy Jew of Przysłucha, Yaakov Yitzhak Rabinowicz of Przysłucha, Avraham Yehoshua Heschel of Opatów, in Yiddish Abt. When Rabbi Meir died in 1827, his Hasidim asked the Rabbi of Ożarów to be their new Rebbe. Rabbi Yehuda Leib accepted this position. His followers numbered in thousands. He moved to Opole towards the end of his life and died in 1837. He was succeeded by his son, Rabbi Yehiel Chaim Epstein, who was in turn succeeded by his son, Rabbi Aryeh Yehuda Leib Epstein, author of the Hasidic work Birkas Tov. Rabbi Aryeh Yehuda Leib had 6 children, including Grand Rabbi Avraham Shlomo Epstein, who succeeded his father in 1913. Rabbi Moshe Yehiel Epstein first came to the United States in 1920 and eventually moved there permanently in 1926 after being offered to be the rabbi of a synagogue for Ożarów immigrants on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Rabbi Moshe Yehiel's entire family in Europe was wiped out in the Holocaust. Rabbi Moshe Yehiel moved to Tel Aviv in 1952, where he spent the rest of his life. Also known as one of the great Torah scholars of his generation, authoring Eshdat, 11 volumes, and Be'er Moshe, 12 volumes. In 1968, he was a recipient of the Israel Prize in the category of Torah literature. Rabbi Moshe Yehiel died in 1971 and was succeeded by his grandson, Rabbi Tanhum Benjamin Becker. Was trained by his grandfather to succeed him. He is known as Ożarów Rebbe. I met Rabbi Becker in his office in Bnei Brak yesterday. This meeting meant a lot of me. Look at this picture, please. At the beginning of 20th century, during the First World War in 1915, Ożarów was destroyed almost 90%, burned by the Russian army, which used the tactics of General Kutuzov, tactics of burnt land. From this period comes a unique photo, which was described by Władysław Orkan, soldier passing from Ostrowiec Świętokrzyski to Lithuania. He wrote in his notebook, "On a broad square, on a pile of rubber, a small group of Jews. The eyes are frozen, focused on one spot. Hands like clothes laced around the knees. That's how they sit." At that time, the synagogue in Ożarów was destroyed. By successive centuries, Jews and Christians coexist together. For example, of this would be a statement of the Catholic Kazimierz Kwieciński, who said, "If a day laborer past holy statue or a cross on the roadside did not take off his hat and not cross himself, then he could not count on employment with a Jew in the future. There was a belief that one who does not respect his own faith is not a good man." The photo you see on the right comes from the interwar period, from the village Wyszmontów, which is about 2 kilometers from Ożarów, and shows village owners who play with an unidentified man, but of course Jew. There were many disputes and misunderstandings between Christians and Jews, as evidenced by court documents. Complaints were submitted not only by Jews, but also by Poles. However, a daily basis, both communities served peacefully. They were dependent on each other. We can talk about a kind of culture of life, what proves the documents. Christians and Jews lived together peacefully. The traders walked together. Christians visited in Jewish homes. They ate Jewish food. It's come from Yitzchak Buch. Jan Hałański, the priest from Ożarów, living the parish, wrote a note for his successor. He writes about the relationships between young people. There were regular walks of Polish boys with Jewish girls and Jewish boys with Polish girls. This is excerpt from parish records. Priest didn't like this behavior very much, but thanks to this his note, we know that they had no problem to be friends with a follower of another religion. Hillel Adler, in his book Memoirs of Ożarów, a little Jewish town that was, wrote, "On the night of August, a silent procession of Jews and Poles marched side by side from the marketplace to the church line, the first time in the history of the village that both communities were united in any kind of manifestation. A young university student named Potocki addressed the crowd and made a straining appeal for solidarity to defend the motherland in peril. Everyone then sang the Polish nation anthem and recited the military oath, the Rota." The war showed the worst face of the neighbors. The situation became more and more dramatic. The first killed person was the girl called Peira. Ben Zion in his memoirs states that his older sister, Handele, was killed as the first victim of the war in Ożarów. I know she was very pretty. Maybe that's why the Poles called her Peira, what means pearl. In the documents of the court of appeal in Kielce, I found information about a man whose descendants I know. He cut off birds, tormented women. There is also information about the baby that was found dead in the field. He was not convicted. On the other hand, there were behaviors worth remembering. This story was told by Mr. Szymański. In the suburb of Ożarów, Rock, a man called Alexander Trela lived, and two young Jews were hidden in his barn. It was Saturday. German soldiers found the boys, tortured them, and took them into captivity together with Alexander's wife and children. And Mr. Trela was not found. 17th August 1942. It was a harvest time. My friend's grandmother, called Helena, with her mother, carried grains to their barn. In the fields, they noticed a young Jewess hidden in the bundles of straw. For a few days, little Helena brought some food for the Jewish girl. Unfortunately, she decided to get to the railway station to Jasice. She was killed during the escape. In my friend's grandma's barn, two brothers and their younger sister found a hiding place. One of the boys was a classmate of Wacława, her grandma's sister. Unfortunately, they were found by a German patrol. The barn was set on the fire. The Jews died. Wacława also was killed, and friend's grandma's brother Eugeniusz was burned also. This is a last one picture of Jews of Ożarów. It is difficult to determine when the final liquidation of the ghetto in Ożarów came about. Residents and city authorities think that it was October 15. Helen Kleinman, in a conversation with Moshe Gold, gives the date October 19. Miriam Orenstein dates this event for the period after the liquidation of Jewish settlement in Opatów and Ostrowiec, so after October 21, but Ben Zion gives the date October 25. I have not managed to gather German documentation, but I probably can do it in upcoming months. In most studies, books or academic papers, the information was given is end of October, without the date of the day. Ben Zion Wacholder, in his Memoirs, described how the Jews from the town called Tarłów, the town is situated around 15 kilometers west, are led by our city to the railway station in Jasice. The photos that I show you have been taken secretly. Maybe let's read the passage.
This was the only liquidation of a Jewish community that I myself witnessed, and it is still embedded in my mind. I watched the procession from an opening in the attic where I could not be seen by the guarding police. What surprised me, nay, what shocked me, was how easily a task the guards had. There seemed to be no fear on the faces of the marchers. They moved slowly, 7 or 8 people abreast. The gun-toting Ukrainians seemed relaxed, as if they were sure no one would attempt escape. Parents hugged their babies and younger children, who were tired after the 10-mile trek from Tarłów to Ozarow. The railroad station was still miles away. It would have been easy for some of the marchers to escape. All the marchers were healthy. The elderly, the decrepit, and the lame had already been lost. Only those who were young and strong would reach the cattle wagons.
זה היה הגירוש היחיד של קהילה יהודית שהייתי עד לו בעצמי, והוא עדיין צרוב בזיכרוני. צפיתי בתהלוכה מפתח עליית הגג, מקום שממנו לא הייתי גלוי לעיני המשטרה. מה שהפתיע אותי, מה שהדהים אותי, היה קלות המשימה של השומרים. על פני הצועדים לא ניתן היה להבחין בשמץ של פחד. הם נעו באיטיות 7 או 8 אנשים זה לצד זה. האוקראינים נושאי הרובים נראו רגועים, כאילו היו בטוחים שאיש לא ינסה לברוח. הורים חיבקו את התינוקות ואת הילדים הקטנים, שהיו עייפים לאחר מסע של 16 קילומטר מטרלוב לאוז'רוב. תחנת הרכבת עדיין הייתה במרחק של כמה קילומטרים. היה יכול להיות פשוט עבור חלק מהצועדים להימלט. כל הצועדים היו בריאים. הזקנים, התשושים והצולעים כבר עבדו. רק אלה שהיו צעירים וחזקים הגיעו אל קרונות הבקר.
When I was a child, I thought about the history of my city many times. About people who lived there centuries ago. I got to know the story of Ożarów, about the city, but I still miss something. Of course, there are historical studies, statistics, lists of names, documents, and yet I still could not find the memories, notes, people, experiences. When I was finished high school, I wanted to go Jewish study at the Ban-Ilan University, the oldest university in Poland. But I won the competition and got a scholarship in theater studies. 1 year later, I decided that I want to study Catholic theology. I again became interested in the history of my cities, the Jews, after I was commissioned to study postgraduate Christian-Jewish relations. One of the 3 semesters students spent in Oświęcim. There are classes in Auschwitz. There are classes there, students eat meals there, sleep there, think there, cry there, and want to do something so that history does not happen again. When I slept the very first time in the Auschwitz-Birkenau, in the former SS administration building, next to the only remaining crematorium in Oświęcim, Auschwitz, I decided that I had to do something. I returned to Krakow and began to search the internet for information about Jews from Ożarów. That's how I found the Memoirs of Ben Zion. First, I wrote an email to Shifra Goldenberg, asking for permission to translate the text. Later, I found Hannah Katsman, with whom I began to correspond more than a year ago. I decided that I wanted to conduct research, look for memories, and publish them in Polish. In Ożarów, apart from the cemetery and synagogue, there are no traces of Jewish presence. I was looking for a name for the publishing series. I decided to appeal to the synagogue. I referred to the old Polish term, boznica, which exactly means the synagogue. That's how the project started. The aim of the Boznica Jewish Ożarów Library is a search, translation, academic study and publication in print and form of memories of Jews from Ożarów, because the rich Jewish tradition demands that it to be commemorated and made available to present and future Poles generations. On the left, you can see a photo of the pre-war synagogue. On the right, how it looks today. It is abandoned and closed place, and the owner is the Foundation of the Preservation of Jewish Heritage in Poland. The building is for sale. When we walk on the logo of the series, I wanted to have a symbol of the martyrdom of all Jews from Ożarów who died in Shoah. It symbolizes the red color in the door and the dot at the end of the acronym. It also points to the dramatic end of the Jewish history of Ożarów. The place where the synagogue was rebuilt after the First World War and additional buildings constituted the center of religious life in the Jewish community in Ożarów. During the Second World War, the Germans used the synagogue as a horse stable and later as a warehouse. At the beginning of the 1960s, the communist authorities decided to create a destroyed synagogue into city cinema called Cosmos. It operated until to the end of 80s. After there was a plumber shop and warehouse. Now it's closed, I said. Of course I dream of creating a museum of memory in this place. A relatively well-preserved cemetery with many tombstones, matzeva, of rich and varied ornamentation is a source of knowledge, the art of stone cutting and the fate of the Jewish community in Ożarów in late 19th and the early 20th century. You can see the oldest picture from the collections of the Culture Center in Ożarów, approximately 1960-65. The cemetery was created probably around the 17th century, but the oldest gravestone dates from 1712. Originally, in the OEL, this is number 2 on the slide, was placed in its center, erected over the grave of Tzaddik Aryeh Yehuda Leibush, the third rabbi, Ożarów rabbi. On the west side, at the wall, there used to be a funeral parlor. This is number 3, now destroyed. Only some foundations are left. The cemetery was operating till 1942. That is the beginning of the relocation and mass extermination of Jews. Already during Second World War, but also after it, the cemetery was vandalized by Poles. Most of the tombstones were used as building material. Also, a large part of the wall was disintegrated, along with the funeral parlor and oil. In 2001, the cemetery was cleared and new fencing was erected and commemorative plaques were installed at the mass grave and the gate. In 2011, the oil was reconstructed a few years ago in the place marked with number 1. A monument was placed with the inscription that 2 Arizal students are buried here. Approximately about 120 people were buried in the mass grave who were killed in 1942. Next to it there are 2 boards in 4 languages: Hebrew, English, French and Polish. This photo shows the current state of preservation of the cemetery. Very high bushes grew there, lots of grass, so I asked the mayor of Ożarów to arrange this place before the promotional meeting of Ben Zion's Memoirs. After my return to Krakow, the girls and boys from the high school cleaned up the cemetery. They have been doing to this several years, always at the end of October. I think you probably know Ben Zion Wacholder's life story better than me, especially as a fine member, friend, teacher, scholar. And I'm not a great person to talk about this period of his life, because I didn't meet him personally. But I can say a few words about what I found in archival documents about the Polish period of his life. I spent long hours browsing the files at the state archives. I was able to find a register of residence in which I confirmed the date of birth of Ben Zion. He was born on September 23, 1921, as the second child in the family of Petah Shlomo Wacholder and Faiga ni Lederman. The family lived on the main street in Ożarów. Maybe I can show you this place. There is a family house of Ben Zion. The family lived the main street in Ożarów, Aleja 3 Maja, 23/2, 3rd May Avenue, 23, flat 2. Childhood. When I was teaching classes at both high schools in Ożarów, I asked disciples to find Ben Zion on this photo, which dates back to the 1920s. To my surprise, they found him, of course, after my hints.
That's the only picture we have of him as a child. The red, he was covered in red on the bottom.
Ben Zion was also a student at a public school. He completed 5 classes, 5 grades, in a 6-year school. As we were called in school, in class, I was pretty bright. I could answer questions, but I couldn't read the blackboard. So I always was bored in the classroom. So I would be trouble for the teachers, and then I was frequently punished. When he escaped from the liquidated ghetto in Ożarów in 1942, he came to Zakopane, then to Częstochowa, from there to Wuppertal, then to Paris, Bogota in South America, and finally to North America. When I first got to know the memories of Ben Zion, I was shocked as a resident of Ożarów. When I later found out what Ben Zion and his student Martin Abeck had done, I was shocked once again, but now as a theologian. As you know, together they developed a computer program that reconstructed fragments section of the Dead Sea Scrolls from concordance, thereby making the full content of the scrolls accessible and leading to the release of the original manuscripts, which had been withheld from the public for years. Ben Zion died in March. He was buried in Beit Shemesh. On the occasion of the 97th anniversary of the birth of Ben Zion, the main promotional meeting of the book took place on the eve of Sukkot this year. Early, there were several meetings in both high schools, a public library, but also several weeks later in a senior club. There were meetings in Krakow too. The first volume of the Boznica series contains a translation of Memoirs by Ben Zion into Polish and 2 additional chapters written by me. The first dedicated to the history of the Jewish community in Ożarów, and third is the biography of Ben Zion, his family history, descendants, and the bibliography of his works. The Minister of Science and Higher Education in Poland awarded me a scholarship for further research, which I will start at the end of January next year. The edition of Ben Zion's Memoirs in Polish has involved numerous institutions, as you can see, including schools, cultural centers, libraries, my university, and the foundation where I work. The book was under the honorary patronage of Michael Szudrich, the chief rabbi of Poland, and Polin Museum of the History of Polish Jews, but also Association of the Jewish Historical Institute in Poland. That's all. Thank you for your attention.
תודה.
שאלות?
How many Jews were in the city before, at the start of World War II?
72%. That was.
A number. How many people?
There are 4,080. 4,000. 4,000. Yeah. Sorry.
Altogether,
Altogether.
4,800 Jews.
No.
4,800 town. 70% were Jews.
Yeah.
And how many survived?
I don't know, but I heard somewhere there was 60 people probably, but I think it's too much. Probably.
There were some who left at the beginning of the war or just before the war. You know, when you say a survivor, it's hard to count.
When the Rebbe left, did his Hasidim stay, or did they leave as well?
Could you repeat?
When the Rebbe left, you said he left in the 1920s?
Rabbi Wacholder?
No, the Rebbe, Rabbi.
Okay.
When he left, you said he left in the 1920s?
Mm-hmm.
When he left, did his followers leave with him, or did they stay behind?
I don't know yet. Yesterday, the Rabbi Becker gives me 2 books, but in Hebrew, about the dynasty stories. So I have to translate this. Give me time.
Łukasz asked me, when the book was published in September, he said to me, do you want me to mail it to you, or do you want to wait till I come in December? So he mailed it to my sister. He mailed some copies to my sister, and I told him to wait. And so this is the book. you can see the lovely graphic on the front. It was in the invitation, if you got that. And maybe you'll tell us about that. I also want to point out a couple of things, just a really nice, I'm just impressed with the quality of the book. And he also, it has stickers which are removable with quotes. There's 2 sets of stickers, and they're both quotes from my father's work, from the Memoirs. And you can, so he said in Poland a lot of people have diaries and journals, and then they can take the quote and stick it straight into their diary.
And people in Poland loved it.
So that was very impressive. And so thank you. And yeah, we're going to have a little break.
We have some more questions.
Oh, question? Yeah.
I was going to ask, you talked about being connected with schools and with some of the students cleaning the cemetery. What reaction do you get from people younger than you are to these stories?
This is a hard question because there is a group of people who really supported me, but there are people who I heard, why you do this, for what? People in Ożarów be afraid to Jews came back. It is. I don't have words for this. That's all.
I just want to follow up. You're hurt by what everybody is doing, people are doing, is the hurt that we always feel. And the fact that you're doing this work is huge. It's not just an honor to Ben Zion and his memory, but to do the work and make the information available for whoever wants it is enormous and very important. And thank you.
Thank you so much. But the truth is, without Ben Zion Memories, probably I didn't start it. So.
Go ahead.
Are there any Jews living now in the city?
No.
It's easy to love the Jews when they're not there.
Łukasz came to Łukasz is here in Israel.
שלום, אתם תרשו לי, אני אדבר בעברית, יותר קל לי. שמי זאב ספראי, אני פרופסור במחלקה ללימודי ארץ ישראל באוניברסיטת בר-אילן, עוסק בהיסטוריה וארכיאולוגיה של תקופת המשנה והתלמוד. למה אני צריך את ההקדמה הזאת? מיד תבינו. מה אני עושה כאן? זה באמת שאלה קשה. אנחנו קרובי משפחה. אנחנו כל כך קרובי משפחה שאנחנו לא יודעים בדיוק איך. אנחנו יודעים שאנחנו שנינו שייכים למשפחת פאן, שמוצאה עיר הבירה שלה היא סטניסלאו, והיא היום באוקראינה, אז ליטא. זו הייתה משפחה ותיקה מאוד, שהייתה בעיר 8-10 דורות, וכתוצאה מכך התפצלה והתפצלה והתפצלה. כל מישהו פאן שייך לחמולה, ואנחנו לא יודעים בדיוק איך. את פרופסור וכולדר אני פגשתי כחבר של אבא שלי. אבא שלי, פרופסור שמואל ספראי זיכרונו לברכה, עסק גם הוא בהיסטוריה של תקופת המשנה והתלמוד, והם היו עמיתים, ומכיוון שהם גם היו משפחה, תבינו שמשפחת פאן יחסית הרבה הגיעו לארץ. עדיין קרובי המשפחה זה דבר נדיר. אז
זה של האימהות, כאילו זה לא של האימא שלך והאימא שלי, הם היו.
כן,
שם היה קשר.
שם היה קשר קצת יותר, וכך גם פגשתי את חנה, אז היא הייתה חנה'לה, אבל זה קורה לכולם. פרופסור וכולדר אני הכרתי א' כחבר של אבא, ב' כפרופסור של תקופת המשנה והתלמוד, ועל זה אני רוצה לדבר מהצד המקצועי. לא זיכרונות אישיים, כי אין לי הרבה, גם נפגשנו כמה פעמים, דיברנו, שוחחנו לא מעט, אבל אני רוצה לדבר יותר על דרכו המדעית. חברות עם אבא הייתה בגלל המשפחה, אבל גם בגלל ששניהם היו יוצאים של ישיבות ליטאיות מובהקות. ומי שמכיר את עולם הישיבות, יש ישיבות ויש ישיבות. הישיבה באוז'רוב היא, אני לא בטוח שאני מבטא את זה נכון. נכון, אוז'רוב? כן. I pronunciated good, אוז'רוב? הישיבה באוז'רוב היא לא סתם ישיבה. זאת הישיבה של רבי יצחק אלחנן וסרמן. זאת הייתה הישיבה הליטאית החשובה ביותר, גדולה מאוד, 300 תלמידים, אני מניח שהמספר טיפונת מופרז, המספר הזה לקוח מהאנציקלופדיות למיניהם, וזאת היא אחת הישיבות הליטאיות החשובות ביותר, אם לא החשובה שבכולם. מה? כן, זאת הישיבה של רבי יצחק אלחנן. כן, כן, זה אותה ישיבה. זה הישיבה שברנוביץ' נמצאת, יצחק אלחנן. וזה לא מקרה שישיבה אוניברסיטי קראו לעצמם על שמו, מתוך תקווה. הוא היה ממנהיגי אגודת ישראל, מתנגד חריף ביותר לציונות, אבל רב תלמודי חשוב מאוד. אבא שלי היה בוגר ישיבת עץ חיים כאן בירושלים, שחלמה להיות חשובה כמו הישיבה של רבי יצחק אלחנן. אתה מבין, זה לא היה, זה הייתה פולין שבארץ ישראל. והרקע הזה, הרקע הישיבתי ואחר כך הרקע המדעי, היו כמובן מאוד מאוד קרבו אותם. פרופסור וואכולדר זיכרונו לברכה הגיע לאמריקה, שם הוא למד, ומעניין מאוד, בזמן שכאן בארץ ישראל פיתח אלון ענף מחקרי חדש של חקר תקופת המשנה והתלמוד לאור מקורות של תקופת המשנה והתלמוד, עם כמובן שיטות מחקר היסטוריות. פרופסור וואכולדר, שהיה לו את כל הנתונים להשתלב בדבר הזה, מכיוון שהוא היה בחור ישיבה בדמו ובנפשו בעל בקיאות עצומה, וידע רב מאוד במקורות התלמודיים, זה רואים גם בספרות, גם במחקרים שלו, וגם בשיחות מאוד מאוד התרשמתי מזה. פחות עסק בזה. הוא פנה לעסוק דווקא בתחומים שקשורים עם היהדות ההלניסטית. כתב ספר, אני מבין שזה גם הדוקטורט שלו, על לאופולומוס, שהיה סופר יהודי הלניסטי, שנשארו ממנו כמה קטעים קצרים מאוד, אבל ספרות מאוד מאוד מעניינת, ועסק בכלל ביהדות ההלניסטית עד למאוד. מחקרים אחרים שלו עסקו ביוזפוס, בפילון, הרבה מאוד בכרונולוגיה יהודית. הוא טען שבתוך הספרות היהודית שומרים על מסורת כרונולוגית ועל מסורת של שנות שמיטה בצורה מאוד מאוד מסודרת. זה עורר זעם לא מעט בספרות המחקר, אבל הטיעונים בכל זאת עשו את שלהם. באותו זמן כבר התחילו להתגלות המגילות הגנוזות, והוא כמובן כתב גם ספר חשוב מאוד על מגילת דמשק, וקצת גם על משיחיות במשנה, אבל באמת דברים מאוד מאוד חשובים. מבחינת המחקר במקורות חז"ל, זה רק בשלב מאוחר יותר הוא התחיל להתייחס אליהם, הוא פיתח כמה תיאוריות. אני צריך לומר שאחת מהן לפחות עוררה ביקורת רבה מאוד. הוא טען שמדרשי ההלכה לא נכתבו בתקופה במאה השנייה או השלישית, אלא נכתבו אחרי התלמוד הבבלי, הרבה יותר מאוחר. עורר ויכוח, אבל זה היה ויכוח מעניין, מכיוון שהטענות שלו לא היו באוויר. הן היו מבוססות טקסטואלית, הם חייבו מאמץ לא פשוט להפריך אותם. תיאוריה לא מקובלת היום, אבל לגמרי לא פשוט להפריך אותם. ועכשיו לפרשה של המגילות הגנוזות, אני אתאר אותה מנקודת המבט שלי, עם השיפוט שלי, שהוא מעורר מחלוקת, אבל לא השיפוט שלי, הפעילות מעוררת מחלוקת, אבל זה יהיה בכל זאת מעניין. אני טיפונת אחזור על דברים של חנה, אבל אני פשוט קצת מכיר את הדברים יותר מבפנים. ובכן, מה קרה? המגילות הגנוזות התגלו בשנות ה-50 תחת ממלכת ירדן, והם היו במוזיאון רוקפלר, והם נמסרו לפענוח לקבוצה של חוקרים קתוליים. לפחות אחד מהם היה גם טיפונת שיכור וקצת אנטישמי. כשהוא היה שיכור אז ראו שהוא אנטישמי, והם באמת עשו עבודה יפה מאוד. קודם כל הם פרסמו כמה טקסטים שהיו שלמים יחסית, פרסמו אותם, ופתחו ענף מחקר חדש של יהדות. אתם יודעים, היום במערכת מחקר היהדות יש יותר חוקרים שעוסקים במגילות מדבר יהודה מאשר בספרות חז"ל, למרות שאין מה להשוות את הכמות שלהם. אז הם פתחו ענף מחקר חדש, יפה מאוד, ועשו עוד דבר חשוב עד למאוד. הם לקחו את כל הטקסטים, סידרו אותם בסידור מספרי, כדי שאפשר יהיה לדבר עליהם, 4Q 273 וכולי. אנשי מדבר יהודה מדברים אחד על השני. ב-4Q 422 יש משהו שמתאים ל-4Q 323. ככה זה השיג ושיח המקצועי. צילמו אותם ופענחו את הרוב. בינתיים עבר זמן וחבר'ה הזדקנו והלהט נגמר, היה קשה להם, המשימה הייתה קשה מדי, והעסק לא התפרסם ולא התפרסם ולא התפרסם, וחוקרים התפוצצו כי הם רצו לדעת מה כתוב שם. בינתיים גם נכנסה לעניין מדינת ישראל. בשנת תשכ"ז, 1967, שחררנו את ירושלים, תפסנו את מוזיאון רוקפלר, והקטעים עכשיו היו בידינו. עכשיו זאת נהייתה האחריות של מדינת ישראל. אף אחד לא העז לומר שום דבר לחוקרים החשובים האלה, שהם באמת חוקרים חשובים, אבל כבר זקנים מאוד, כבר אי אפשר היה להוציא מהם שום דבר. והפרסום לא התפרסם ולא התפרסם ולא התפרסם ולא התפרסם, והתחילו בעיתונות כל מיני סיפורים, כל מיני סיבות, מה זה הזויות, למה לא מפרסמים, שמא זה יפגע בדת היהודית או בדת הנוצרית, שמצאו שם קטעים שיהפכו את הדת היהודית, שיכחישו את הדת היהודית, שיכחישו את הדת הנוצרית. וזה הזוי, משום שחוקרים מעולם לא היו דתיים, והמחקר לא מחזק את הדת ולא מחליש אותה, הוא פשוט הולך בזרם שלו, ואנשי מדע כשיש להם חומר נפץ ביד אז הם ששים לפרסם אותו, אף אחד לא ימנע את זה מהם, אבל אתם יודעים, בעיתונים הרי אפשר לפרסם את הכל. ולא התפרסם ולא התפרסם. ובמלחמת יום כיפור מדינת ישראל דאגה להעביר עותקים לכמה מרכזים אקדמיים, שיהיה עותקים של הצילומים, כדי שלא ייפגעו חס וחלילה במלחמה. כמובן בהסכמים שאסור להסתכל ואסור לפתוח אותם ואסור להראות אותם ורק למיוחסים, והתחיל בלגן שלם וההאשמות על מדינת ישראל שהיא מונעת את הפרסום. במדינת ישראל רשות העתיקות פשוט לא העיזו לדבר עם החוקרים הנכבדים האלה ולומר להם, חבר'ה, תרפו, שחררו את החומר. ואז עשה פרופסור וואכולדר מעשה. הוא לקח את הקטלוג, אחרי שהוא קיבל את הקורדנציה הזאת המצולמת, ובנה בעזרתו של חוקר אחר, בנה תוכנת מחשב מתאימה, ומכיוון שכל קטע כזה הופיע עם המילה לפניה והמילה לאחריה, וכתוב היה באיזה קטע זה, אז הוא שחזר בצורה כזאת מהציטוטים, שחזר את הקטעים, קרא אותם. לא תמיד הקריאות הוכיחו את עצמם, כי כשקוראים את זה ברצף, אז תופסים קצת יותר. אבל האמת היא שהקונקורדנציה הייתה טובה, מכיוון שהיא כבר אמרה הרבה מאוד פעמים, תראו, הקטע הזה והקטע ההוא הם בעצם אחים, כי הם כתובים באותו כתיב, כי הם באותו נייר, כי אותו גודל שורות, רוחב שורות ודברים מן הסוג הזה, ובצורה כזאת שחזר ופרסם 4 כרכים שיכולתם לראות אותם אדומים, אני גם הבאתי אחד כזה לשם דוגמה. במקביל, באותו זמן, איזשהו חוקר חצוף אמריקאי קיבל לידיו את הקטעים ופרסם ספר עם מספר קטעים מההיילייטס, מהקטעים החשובים ביותר. הוא טען שמישהו בבוקר הוא בא, פתח את הדלת והוא מצא את הקטעים לפני הדלת שלו. מי שרוצה להאמין כמובן זכאי להאמין. היה איזשהו חוקר אחר פולני שגם הוא איכשהו התגלגל לידיו ופרסם ותבעו אותו לדין. הוא טען חומר חופשי, תשמעו, חופש המדע, החומר הזה לא שייך לאף אחד. הטענה הייתה שעוד נכון, אבל הוא כבר השתמש בקריאות של מישהו אחר. בקיצור, אחרי שזה התפוצץ והקטעים האלה התחילו לצאת, ומדינת ישראל הואשמה והושמצה בכל פורום מדעי, בסופו של דבר רשות העתיקות העיזה לעשות מעשה, כי הקימה ועדה בינלאומית, חילקו את הקטעים, ובפרויקט שלקח 4-5 שנים, כל הקטעים פורסמו. התברר, היהדות עומדת כפי שאתם מרגישים, לא זועזעה, הנצרות לא זועזעה, העולם לא הזדעזע. כן, יש עוד חומר, זה נחמד, זה מעניין, זה מוסיף הרבה, יש המון קטעים שאי אפשר, שאין להם שום דבר, 2-3 מילים שלא אומרות כלום. יש קטעים מעניינים שיש בהם באמת דברים רבים. העולם לא הזדעזע. עכשיו, במיוחד הערב, כשהייתי לקראת המפגש הזה, אז בדקתי את הספר שלו. אני מחזיק את הספרים שלו כי ירשתי אותם והם חביבים עליי, בגלל הרעיון, בגלל המהפכה שנערכה. היום הם מיושנים, כי היום יש קריאות מסודרות. מה וואכולדר לא יכול היה למצוא? הוא לא יכול היה לדעת כמה רווח יש, כמה חסר. מה שחסר לא הופיע בקונקורדנציה. אז הוא לא ידע אם המילה נמצאת בקצה השורה, מעל השורה, יש 4 שורות ריקות, 5 שורות ריקות. זה הוא לא יכול היה לשער. כמובן שעכשיו שקוראים את זה מחדש, אם במקום הנכון, אז מתקנים את הקריאות הקדומות, מתקנים את הקריאות שלו, אבל זה היה צעד מאוד מאוד חשוב, ובעיקר זה שחרר את הפלונטר. אני הייתי אומר שמבחינת מדינת ישראל זה נתן לה את התירוץ סוף סוף לגשת אל החוקרים הוותיקים האלה ולומר, חבר'ה, זה לא שלכם, פעולה שלא העיזו לעשות אותה. רק זה עניין של אומץ לב, זה לא מקובל בעולם המדע. בערך כלל מי שמגלה חומר, זה שלו, עד שהוא מפרסם. זה האתוס המדעי, אבל מה קורה כשאנשים לא יצליחו לעשות את זה? בקיצור, זה היה איש עם הרבה אומץ והרבה מאוד העזה והמון חריפות מקצועית, והיה תענוג לדבר איתו, היה איש מקצוע נהדר. תודה רבה.
This is a passage from my about how he had to become in order to escape, he had to dress up as a goy, as a non-Jew. He had false papers, and those of you who haven't read it, there's copies in the back. But I want to read this one last passage. I'll read it in English first. Nothing had prepared me for the deep shock of having to lie about your own name. From my mother's breast, I had imbibed the certainty that Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebecca and Jacob, Leah and Rachel were my parents and grandparents, no less than my own mother and father. The Torah of Moses and its dozens and dozens of commentaries and super commentaries, much of which I could recite without a book, had opened me to a glorious world that had made the Jew the most exalted being on this earth. Each word of the Torah could be interpreted 70 times, nay, perhaps 70 times 70. There is not enough paper in this world to write all the meanings of the first of the Torah. The first word of the Torah, I think that's supposed to say. Take the word Bereshit. Ibn Ezra, Ramban, Rabag, Sforno, not to speak of the Rambam, each gives a different meaning for Bereshit. There's even some like Spinoza who believe there was no beginning, no such thing as Bereshit. But surely Spinoza betrayed his master Maimonides. Surely he deserted his people by denying Bereshit. Did not the 10 hours that passed from 4 o'clock in the morning to 2 in the afternoon testify to the truth of Bereshit? What was occurring this moment in Ozarow, except for Tohu Vavohu, by changing a single letter in the word Bereshit, the shin into a chaf, we can find the word acharit, end, in Bereshit, beginning. What a fool you are, Ben Zion, I said to myself. You are changing from a pure rationalist into a sheer mystic. Yes, but your name is not now Ben Zion Wacholder, as given to you at your birth, but some stolen appellation, Václav Kaczynski, a forged baptismal certificate of a non-existing Christian. Who am I, Ben Zion or Václav? Is this the beginning or the end? For the time being, I was both Bereshit and Acharit, starting from nothing and returning to nothing. If I could turn into a goy in 10 hours, surely there must be some truth in metapsychosis. Now, however, the Tzelem Elokim was returning into my neshama. So I was Ben Zion again, visiting his cousin in Zavichost, a fellow descendant of Abraham.
When was this? Which year?
שום דבר לא הכין אותי להלם של לשקר לגבי השם שלי. משדי אמי הענקתי את הוודאות המוחלטת שאברהם ושרה, יצחק ורבקה, יעקב, לאה ורחל, הם ההורים והסבים שלי, לא פחות מאבי ואמי. תורת משה ועשרות הפירושים והפירושים על הפירושים, שרבים מהם יכולתי לצטט בעל פה, פתחו אותי לעולם מפואר שהפך את היהודי לנברא הנעלה ביותר על פני האדמה. כל מילה בתורה יכולה להתפרש 70 פעמים. לא, אולי 70 כפול 70. אין מספיק נייר בעולם כדי לכתוב את כל הפירושים לתחילת התורה. קח את המילה בראשית. אבן עזרא, רמב"ן, רלב"ג, ספורנו, שלא לדבר על הרמב"ם, כל אחד נותן פירוש אחר למילה בראשית. יש אפילו כאלה, כמו שפינוזה, שמאמינים שלא הייתה שום התחלה, שום בראשית. אבל ודאי ששפינוזה בגד במורה שלו הרמב"ם. ברור שהוא זנח את אנשיו כשכפר בבראשית. האם 10 השעות שעברו מהשעה 4 בבוקר עד 2 בצהריים אינן מעידות על האמת שבבראשית? מה קרה ברגעים האלו באוזרוב, מלבד תוהו ובוהו? על ידי שינוי אות אחת במילה בראשית, אפשר לגלות את המילה אחרית בראשית. כמה אתה שותה בן ציון, אמרתי לעצמי. אתה הופך מרציונליסט טהור למיסטיקן גמור. כן, אבל שמך עכשיו אינו בן ציון וחולדר, כמו השם שנתנו לך בלילתך, אלא כינוי גנוב כלשהו. ווקלה קשינסקי, תעודת טבילה מזויפת של נוצרי לא קיים. מי אני, בן ציון או ווקלה? זו ההתחלה או שזה הסוף? בינתיים הייתי גם ראשית וגם אחרית. מתחיל מאפס וחוזר לאפס. אם אני יכול להפוך לגוי ב10 שעות, אז בוודאי יש קצת אמת במטאפסיכוזה. אבל כרגע, צלם האלוקים התחיל לחזור לנשמה שלי. חזרתי להיות בן ציון, מבקר את בן דודו בזאביחוסט, עוד צאצא של אברהם.
אז תודה רבה שוב. תודה לזה שהיא...